When it comes to the state budget, some say patching a huge hole in it has pushed many people into a hole of their own. They are the people who keep an eye on your doctor, your dentist, even your veterinarian, investigating any wrongdoing. But as Ben Lemoine tells us now, some say they may not be able to do it much longer. Ben?
Patty, that's right. You know, if you want to cut hair, build houses, even do other people's taxes in Arizona, you have to pay a fee and become licensed. Now, that money goes to regulating those industries to make sure that your barber is sanitizing his scissors or your contractor doesn't skip out before the roof's on. But soon you might not be so confident, as many of those fees have taken a detour to state debt.
On a fall day in 2004, it was a simple checkup that changed a life forever.
He told me all my teeth were bad in my mouth and pulled all of my teeth.
Days later, Karen Hochter's jaw and neck were swollen and infected.
They ordered a CAT scan and said that this dentist left severe debris in my mouth, and I have this scar right here to this day from it.
And to this day, the $12,000 operation has cost Karen and her husband Mike 10 times that.
It's been really hard. It's almost wrecked our relationship, you know. It's been tough.
I kept thinking, how could this happen to me? How could this happen to me if he's such a good dentist and everything?
But according to the Arizona Board of Dental Examiners, Dr. David Nesbitt was a dangerous dentist. The board logged over 20 major complaints against him. Everything from overdosing elderly patients to operating without a sedation permit. And concluded Karen Hochter didn't even need her teeth pulled.
And I didn't find out till later the implants he's been putting in all the victims are not FDA approved.
After 2 years, dental board investigators revoked Nesbitt's license to practice. But many dentists say that would be almost impossible to do now.
It takes a surprising amount of money to investigate these cases.
State lawmakers took $4.2 million from the dental board last year. This year they took $1.5. Problem is, the board only has $800,000 in the bank.
Without these funds, with the board simply not having any funds to perform their function, nothing will get done, and unfortunately the public is the one that's going to suffer.
The Arizona legislature calls it a fund sweep, rounding up any extra money in a state agency's account. Hours before session ended in June and lawmakers were legally bound to balance the budget, they plugged part of a $2 billion deficit with money from agencies like the Dental Board. Agencies that operate on their own money raised from licensing fees. And this summer, the legislature swept over $20 million in all from them.
I think it's definitely a cruel way to balance the budget.
Dr. Rick Chrysler was appointed by the governor as chairman of the State Veterinary Board. They were swept of $609,000. He says that's almost double what he'll take in licensing fees this year.
We're going to run out of money. We're not going to have the money to operate.
So what do you do?
That's a good question. We don't know.
Meanwhile, some say Arizona lawmakers don't know their own laws, like the one that says any unexpended money remaining in self-supporting regulatory agencies shall not revert to the state general fund, which is where all the money from these agencies went.
The state absolutely cannot take money from one place just because it's required to balance its own checkbook. These people were required by law to pay into these funds, and the law requires that the money be spent for those purposes. Fund sweeping in this manner is essentially pickpocketing at a multi-million-dollar scale.
Well, they haven't challenged that in court, but we're all in this together. You know, no agency is independent in and of itself.
Governor Janet Napolitano says there was no way around the sweeps, and lawmakers made sure that agencies would still be able to operate. But every board member we talked to said they were never consulted, and letters of concern went unanswered.
Nobody likes leaving people out of the budget, but again, the legislature found itself in a difficult position.
But some people were not left out of the budget. During that difficult decision, the governor and the legislature decided that their leftover money was off limits, so they kept it.
Records show the governor's office kept $1.1 million that it had left over, the Senate $1.5, and the House $9.1 million. That's almost 12 million tax dollars lining lawmakers' coffers, while some agencies are out $20 million.
And I would have hoped that the state would have looked within themselves for any money as well and put that money forward to help pay for any shortfall instead of just taking it from select groups of people.
And in the end, many say it's not just taken from nurses or dentists or doctors. It's taken from the people they protect, too.
If they do away with fundings, victims have nothing in the state.
No protection.
No protection at all.
As far as I'm concerned, that makes the government liable for when people are harmed.
Now, many board members say they aren't sure how lawmakers came up with the amounts that they're sweeping, since some are actually more than the agencies have. But the governor says this is not the first time that they have swept money. They are just taking more than normal this time. But the math has got to be worked out soon, Patty. These agencies are supposed to transfer the $20 million to the State General Fund by September 1st. I'm Ben Lemoine, 3TV, The Place, with more news.
Ben, that's a good story, well told, and I'm sure there are lots of others out there like that. For instance, schools are suffering with the budget shortfall. Yeah, thank you very much for that.